You know, it's just like when the kids are in the car and they keep saying, "Are we there yet?" Well, I have to ask the question, is 2020 finally over? I mean, are we there yet? It's the real estate show. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. My name is Rick Naples. I am the owner-broker of Zone Realty, LLC. You zone your home. When I went to open up this show, I asked a simple question. Is it over yet? Is 2020 finally over yet? I wanted to spend some time to just kind of reflect on the past year without getting into too many details, because we all are well too aware of everything that's been going on in this past year. And we're looking forward to the next year. There's been some significant changes, especially in my business. Usually at this time in December, I try to film a little bit of a holiday show, wishing everybody a happy holiday and maybe showing some decorations or giving some tips and hints on how to decorate the house or precautions to take when you're decorating, when your house is up for sale. And sometimes I talk about the statistics of how the year has been, how many homes have been sold, what's been going on in the marketplaces, and so on and so forth. But a lot of that seems to be overshadowed by everything that's happened in 2020. You know, on past real estate shows, I've tried to give a lot of tips and a lot of hints when it comes to the real estate transaction. I've talked about a number of different things: the transaction itself and what's involved, shopping for a house, buying a house and what happens once you've made that offer that's accepted. I've even talked to sellers about when they put their house on the market, depending on what time of the year it is, and the different things that they could do to help get their house sold. I've even gone so far as to talk about realtor secrets and some of the things that we do as realtors to help homes sell or to help our buyers find the home that they're going to make their own. I've also talked about what was called the Realtor Toolkit. You know, realtors are known for trying to be prepared for all kinds of contingencies. And sometimes that begins with basically going out and looking at houses. We show all kinds of houses during our careers, so a lot of us put together a little handy toolkit that we carry around in our cars. And our toolkits contain things like maybe a measuring tape, a flashlight. I've carried a roll of toilet paper. We all know what that's for. Window cleaner, paper towel, sometimes a dog treat or cat treats, depending. I've carried WD-40 and other types of products with me for squeaky doors, or if I'm having trouble getting into a lock. In the wintertime, an extra pair of gloves, hand warmers, etc. Kind of a little bit mishmash of everything, because you want to be prepared just in case you run into certain challenges when you're looking to show a house. In 2020, things changed. We have this pandemic. Because of the infection rates of the pandemic, the Realtor's Toolkit changed a little bit. A lot of us are now armed and carrying around something like this at all times. It's basically a spray can of disinfectant, and we're using it to spray the door locks and the lock boxes, and we're using it to wipe down counters once we leave. My toolkit now includes some disposable gloves, disposable masks, When people come to my office, I'm taking their temperature. And in some cases, I'm going all out and wearing an N95 mask. These are things that I never would have thought a year ago I would have in my toolkit. But as I said, things changed in 2020. We're seeing a lot of negatives. We've seen the unemployment rate go insane. We've seen businesses going out of business, or at least shuttering for a while because of this pandemic. We all know somebody who's in some kind of financial distress, emotionally, physically, whatever, because of what the effect of this pandemic has had. It's really changed things. And not only that, but we've also seen some radical changes as far as the marketplace is concerned. Now, ironically, when it comes to real estate, we're seeing that houses continue to sell. I mean, everyone needs a place to live. And for those that are fortunate enough to still be in a situation of where they can go out and buy a home, houses are selling and being bought. That's a positive. But we keep getting bombarded by the negative all through this year. It means everywhere you go, there's more negatives. We've seen people arguing each other more than they've ever done before. We've seen people pick fights over the silliest little things. We've seen the way we shop change. The way we drive our cars has changed. How many people we get to see, gatherings, and so on and so forth has changed. In this year, 2020, we even saw how it overshadowed our presidential election. Something that was shocking to me, but it has affected even the election. And I won't get into that because everybody has their own opinions. All I could say is it is what it is, and we need to move on. And that's kind of the same thing I want to talk about 2020. We need to continue to look forward. Now, at this particular time, they tell me there's a vaccine that has been developed. Hasn't been distributed yet. Maybe by the end of the year, maybe during the course of next year, and hopefully it will turn things around. So I'm saying to everyone out there to try and stay positive. 2020 is coming to an end. It will be over, and we can look forward to a newer year. How the real estate market is going to change in this next coming year is anyone's guess. A lot of the economists are saying it will be a better year. Ironically, we've seen home prices go up during the course of this past year instead of coming down. But I think that's the effect because there are a lot of houses that are on the market right now. Interest rates are still very, very low. There's a few houses on the market. The buyers are fighting over those houses that are on the market. We're seeing people offering full price, if not over. So we're seeing an artificial inflation in home prices. Is it a good time to buy? Again, I've said many times on the real estate show that the time to buy is when it's right for you. It doesn't really matter what the markets are doing. When you're in the need for a home, that's when you're going to go out and you're going to shop for a home. And let's talk about that for just a moment. Going out and looking at homes. You know, as I said, the markets have changed. The way we do things have changed, and I showed you how I've added some things to my toolkit in order to protect myself and the people around me when we go to look at homes. But we've also noticed that there's been a lot of instructions, more so than ever, when we do go out and show a home. A lot of sellers now are preparing their houses to be shown during this pandemic to try and minimize, or at least try to avoid, the possibility of any infections being spread. Things like open houses are not being done. Well, maybe a couple here and there if it's a vacant home, but not as much as it used to be. Things like brokers' tours, where the agents go out and look at new listings, have slowed down. We've even seen the process change a little bit where when someone buys a home and they're going to have their home inspector inspect it, the inspector goes by themselves. You know, you're not having people come along with them to go through the house. Appraisers doing paperwork appraisals rather than actually physically going into the house. Just a number of things that have changed in the processes as far as a transaction is concerned because of the pandemic. But that's enough of a downer. Let's talk about some positive things. I just mentioned that we're seeing home prices go up. That's great for the sellers. Could be because there's so few homes on the market and we're seeing prices rise because of the competition that's out there. It also could be because the interest rates are still very, very low. And I'm hearing that next year the interest rates may stay low. And this is stimulating the market. Is it a great time to buy, as I said earlier? And I always try to paraphrase that by saying buying is when you're ready. But it could be. I mean, there are houses that are out there that are still great buys, and the interest rates are still very, very low. Here on the Real Estate Show, usually when I'm talking to you, I'll introduce a couple of presentations. Sometimes in the past, they've been presentations which involve the video tour of a home. A lot of times they're informational presentations. This show is basically me talking. Why is it me talking? Well, basically because I don't have the ability to go and do the things that I was able to do. Again, an effect of the pandemic. You know, to make a virtual tour of a home, you need to have the home listed, you need to go out and take the pictures, you need to bring camera sets and stuff out there, and so on and so forth. Not so much this year in 2020. To do the presentations, I do a lot of film editing, work with the television station to put things together. Not so much in 2020. So unfortunately, or fortunately, you get to listen to me for the topics of the show. But as I said, things have changed. Positively, as I've mentioned in the past, and I'll mention again, home prices have gone up and homes are still selling. But I want to say this about houses that are selling. If you are in a position where you have the ability to purchase a home, you've been able to get pre-qualified by the bank, you know what your shopping level is, you go out with your realtor, you found the home, you've made an offer, and that offer is accepted. Things have changed in the way that the transaction is being done. You know, we're all aware of those of us that still have the ability to work, of fellow businesses, related businesses, even any kind of business that's out there, of sending their employees home to work from their houses. This is an attempt to try and reduce the spread. When it comes to our business, the real estate business, when you do that, you don't have people in place that have the tools that they need in order to process the things they need to do. This is really particular to the mortgage industry. A lot of mortgage originators are still out there soliciting business. They're still taking applications with precautions. But when it comes to the inside processing of those applications, it's taking much longer because there just isn't enough people in place to process what they have. Now, the depressing thing about that, folks, is we're seeing closing dates being pushed out further and further. In a normal market, in a normal situation, you get pre-approved for a loan, you find the house you wish to purchase, you close on it, usually within a 45 to 60 day period. Today, we've seen things pushing out to 90 days, in some cases 120 days. That's 4 months before a home will close on. And that's even with a standard, straightforward, conventional loan with no stipulations or particulars. It's just because of the processing time. There aren't a lot of appraisers out there appraising homes, and the appraisal is needed in order to get the value for the bank to set on the house to grant the mortgage. So if you only have one or two appraisers covering twice as much area, they're not going to move as fast as they did before. Internal processing and underwriting, as I said, has slowed down because you don't have a lot of underwriters to underwrite the loans. So things have slowed down, and this is leading to a lot of frustration. I've told many stories on the real estate show in the past. Some horror stories, some fun stories, some funny ones, some stories that have a unique twist to them. One of the more difficult situations that realtors find themselves in is when somebody is selling their home, buying another home, and the person buying their home is selling their home. You have everybody tied into each other, and the closing date becomes a very important date because you've got families moving, houses changing. You have to hire movers. You have to coordinate things. Well, because processing time is pretty much behind, you can't guarantee those dates anymore. So you actually have people in situations where maybe the buyer of their home is right on time, but the closing of the home that the seller is buying is not. Or vice versa. So it creates a situation where someone somewhere is going to end up being homeless. So we're seeing a lot of, well, I guess the best way to put it is we're seeing a lot of creativeness being done. We're seeing people doing rent backs. In other words, the house closes, the buyer owns the home, but they rent it back to the seller and they wait for the seller to be able to move out a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks later when their house closes. We're also seeing some creativeness as far as people in temporary places they're staying. Or we've seen situations like a situation I just had recently where the seller just leaves the house and the house sits there vacant until such time as the buyer can close the mortgage on it and be able to move in. Not a great situation. Delays happen. Delays in moving, delays in doing work on the house, delays in just getting on with life. But it seems that's the thing that we've been living with lately. The real estate market has always been a challenge. There's been ups and downs. Sometimes we've seen markets go really bad. Sometimes we see markets get really good. Markets are very local. We've seen one local area not sell, another area sell. We've seen situations where one state is really busy in real estate and another state is not. Or one part of the country is doing really well and another part of the country is not. This time we've seen an overall effect where everyone, everywhere in our country has been affected by the pandemic that's been out there and the way things are being done as far as the real estate markets are concerned. I'm seeing a lot of comments both on Facebook, Instagram, and all the different social medias that are out there of everyone anxious for 2020 to go away. 2020 has been a very challenging year. It's been a year of things being turned upside down. We're all looking forward to a new year. We're all looking forward to the day when the coronavirus goes away, where the economy can finally get back on its feet and start moving forward, when our kids can get back to school, when you can go out to your favorite restaurant and have a meal, when you can go see a movie, where you can do the things that you've enjoyed doing, all getting back to normal again. So hold on. I'm a very positive person, and I have to say that it will get there, even though it looks like it's a far, far away. It will get there. Now, usually when I do the real estate show, as I said, I show presentations. And in this show, I've just basically decided to talk to you for the time that I'm on the air. And I'm hoping that I'm just trying to convey that even though it's been a challenge out there, we're still moving forward. Not as fast, but we're still moving forward. I don't want to discourage anyone that's out there that's in the market to purchase a home or that's thinking to put their home on the market to deter from doing that. As I said, buyers are buying homes, sellers are selling homes, mortgages are being underwritten, houses are closing. Here in our state of Connecticut, we've seen sales actually rise, surprisingly enough. So the virus hasn't slowed things down in that aspect. It's affected a lot of life, but not so much when it's come to home sales. Now, as a business owner, my heart goes out to those fellow business owners who are not real estate companies. Those that are in, for instance, the restaurant business. When your business relies on customers coming to you, and all of a sudden they can't, that's a problem. I give a lot of credit to those folks that work in the health industry out there. They go to work every single day knowing that they're at risk, and we really appreciate what they do. I think about those people who know someone that's come down with the virus who may not have survived it, and those that have someone who has survived it. I keep looking forward that business will get back to normal. So let's look forward to a good 2021. Let's look forward to 2020 getting behind us and giving us the ability to move on. Now, usually when I do the real estate show, I have a section of the show that I call the final word, or my final thought, or my final comment, however you want to word it. And of course, during this whole show, I've been talking about how the market has been and the changes in the real estate industry as far as the pandemic is concerned. For me personally, as I've stated many, many times, I'm a very positive guy. I'm always looking for the positives in things. But it gets a little bit overwhelming when the negatives keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Every time you turn on the TV, you hear more negatives. When you talk to fellow people, socially distanced, standing apart with your masks on, it's different. When you go to the grocery store and you see an old friend and your first instinct is to walk up and shake their hand and say hello, and now all of a sudden you can't do that. You end up going to bed every night with the thought of, what's going on? Why is this happening? Well, I try not to think of that too much. I try to stay positive. I try to keep moving forward. I try to do the things that I need to do to keep myself safe, to keep my clients safe, and to keep those around me safe. And I hope you do the same too. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say, please follow all the recommendations of the CDC. When you're out in public, folks, wear a mask. It's a simple thing to do. I know some people feel it's very inconvenient, but just wear a mask. This will go away. My name is Rick Naples. This has been The Real Estate Show. I hope you all will look forward to a brand new year. It's just right around the corner. And stay positive and stay safe. And I'll see you next time.